Hey everyone, welcome back to the English Anchor podcast. I'm Mia, Leo is here with me, and it already feels like a cozy, slow morning.
It really does. And funny enough, this morning was the first one in weeks where I didn't reach for my phone.
Wait, not even once?
Not for the first half hour. I made tea, I sat by the window, and I just looked outside.
That sounds suspiciously peaceful for you.
I know. Normally I wake up and open 3 apps before my feet even touch the floor.
Same. And then the day feels loud before it has properly started.
Exactly. So that's what I want to talk about today, how a quiet morning can change your whole day.
Perfect topic. Okay, tell me about the window. What was actually happening out there?
Honestly, nothing dramatic. A man was walking a very slow dog. A bus stopped. Somebody was watering plants on a balcony.
And that was interesting to you?
That's the strange part. It wasn't interesting, but it was calm. My brain wasn't being pulled anywhere.
That's a good way to say it, pulled.
Because that's what a phone does in the morning. You open it for one thing, and suddenly you're reading about a problem in a country you've never visited.
And then you carry that feeling into breakfast.
Right, you haven't done anything yet, but you already feel behind.
I felt that for years. My old mornings were basically an emergency.
Describe an old Mia morning.
Alarm at 7, snooze until 7:20, then panic, then 20 minutes of running around looking for one specific sock.
The sock is always the villain.
Always. And then I'd eat something standing up, usually toast, usually cold.
Cold toast is a lifestyle choice.
It's a sad one. And by the time I sat down at my desk, I was already tired. Not from work, from the morning.
That's the thing people miss. The morning isn't a small part of the day. It sets the temperature.
Say more about that.
If your first hour is rushed and noisy, your brain learns that today is a day for rushing. Then every small problem feels bigger.
Because you're starting from stress instead of starting from calm.
Yes, you're playing catch-up from minute 1.
So when did you decide to change it?
A few weeks ago, I noticed I was making silly mistakes at work. Sending messages twice. Forgetting what someone told me 10 minutes earlier.
Classic signs of a scattered brain.
Completely. And I thought, I'm not sleeping badly. I'm not working more hours. So what's different?
And the answer was the morning.
The answer was the first 30 minutes. That's it.
Okay, so what does a quiet morning actually look like for you? Give me the real version, not the perfect version.
Good, because the perfect version is a lie. I don't wake up at 5 and meditate on a mountain.
Nobody does.
My version is simple. I wake up. I don't touch my phone. I go to the kitchen. I boil water. I make tea. And I sit for about 15 minutes.
Doing what?
Nothing productive. Sometimes I look out the window. Sometimes I write 2 or 3 lines in a small notebook.
What kind of lines?
Very boring ones. What I need to do today. How I'm feeling. Once I just wrote, "My back hurts, be nicer to yourself."
Honestly, that's beautiful advice.
It was 5 in the morning logic, but it worked.
And that's the whole routine? Tea, window, notebook?
That's it, 15 minutes. But those 15 minutes are deliberate.
Explain what you mean by deliberate.
I mean, I chose them. Nobody sent them to me. No notification decided what I would think about first.
That's a big difference. Most mornings, the first thought of the day is given to us by somebody else.
Usually by an algorithm, honestly.
That's a little frightening when you say it out loud.
It is. So a quiet morning is really just taking back the first decision of the day.
I like that. The first decision.
And once you make one calm decision, the next one is easier.
That's momentum, isn't it?
That's exactly momentum. Small good choices pull you forward.
I noticed this with something completely unrelated. Making my bed.
Ah, the famous bed.
I used to think it was a silly rule. But when the bed is made, I don't want to leave clothes on the chair, and then I don't want to leave dishes in the sink.
One small thing invites the next small thing.
And the opposite is also true. If I leave the bed messy, by evening my whole flat looks like a storm passed through.
Which brings us to clutter.
Oh, clutter is a huge part of this for me.
Same. I realized my mornings were stressful partly because my kitchen was a mess from the night before.
So you were waking up into yesterday's problems.
Perfect way to put it. The first thing I saw was dirty plates, and my brain immediately said, "You're behind."
So what changed?
10 minutes at night. I clean the kitchen surface. I put my keys in the same bowl, and I choose what I'm wearing.
The night version of a quiet morning.
Basically, yes. A calm morning often starts the evening before.
That's a line people should write down.
It sounds obvious, but I ignored it for years.
What made you finally do it?
A very stupid morning. I couldn't find my keys, and I was already late.
How long did you look?
11 minutes. I timed it afterwards, which was a mistake, because now I know.
11 minutes is a whole quiet morning.
That's exactly what I thought. I had spent my calm time looking for metal.
So now the keys live in the bowl.
The keys live in the bowl. The bag sits by the door. My jacket hangs on one specific hook.
That sounds a bit strict.
It sounds strict, but it removes about 10 decisions, and decisions are what tire you.
That's true. Choosing what to wear at 7 in the morning is a small tax on your brain.
And you pay it every single day for no reason.
Can I tell you where my version of this comes from?
Please.
My grandmother. She woke up before everyone in the house. Not to work, not to clean. Just to sit with tea near the window.
How long?
20 minutes, maybe. And nobody was allowed to talk to her.
That's a strong boundary for a grandmother.
She was serious about it. And I remember thinking as a child that it was strange. Why sit and do nothing?
And now?
Now I understand she was protecting something. That was the only part of her day that belonged to her.
That's really the heart of it. The quiet isn't empty, it's private.
She also opened the curtains first thing. Always.
Light matters more than people think.
Apparently it does. Daylight in your eyes early tells your body that the day has started.
I noticed this in winter. Dark mornings make me feel like I never properly woke up.
So what do you do?
I open everything. Curtains, one window, even for 30 seconds in the cold.
30 seconds of cold air is very effective.
It's aggressive, but it works better than coffee.
And if you can step outside, even onto a balcony, that's better again.
2 minutes outside changes the whole feeling of the morning. You hear real sounds instead of screen sounds.
Birds instead of notifications.
The birds have never once asked me to update something.
And when I started copying her, I noticed something. I was kinder in the mornings.
Kinder to people?
To everyone. To my flatmate. To the man at the bus stop. To myself. Rushing makes me sharp with people.
Rushing makes me sharp with objects. I'm rude to doors.
You slam things.
I slam everything. Cupboards, drawers, my own laptop. And then I feel guilty about it, which is a wonderful way to start work.
So calm mornings restore something.
Restore is the right word. Sleep restores the body, but quiet restores your attention.
That's true. I can sleep 8 hours and still feel mentally scattered.
Because sleep fixes tiredness, not noise.
Right. And modern mornings are extremely noisy even when they're silent.
Especially when they're silent. Nobody is shouting, but your head is full of 40 voices.
Okay, but let's be fair to people listening. Not everyone has 15 quiet minutes.
That's a real point. Some people have children.
Some people work early shifts. Some people share one small flat with 5 family members.
And telling those people to sit peacefully by a window is a bit insulting.
So what's the honest version for them?
I think it's about size, not silence. 2 minutes counts.
2 minutes?
2 minutes. While the water boils, while the bus is arriving, while you're brushing your teeth, you can decide not to open the phone.
So the rule isn't quiet room. The rule is quiet head.
That's much better. Quiet head, for a short time, on purpose.
And that's more sustainable.
Sustainable is the key word. A routine you can keep on a bad day is worth 10 routines you can only keep on a perfect day.
This is where most people fail, honestly. They design a morning for their best self.
The 5 a.m. person with the cold shower and the green drink.
And then they do it for 4 days.
And on day 5 they're sick, or the baby wakes up, or they slept badly, and the whole system collapses.
And then they feel guilty, which makes them avoid it completely.
That guilt loop is worse than never starting.
And what about the mornings that are already ruined? You wake up late and everything is wrong.
Ah, the rescue morning. I have a rule for that.
Tell me.
When I'm late, I still do one small piece of the routine, usually the sitting.
Even for a minute?
Even for 40 seconds. I sit with the cup, I refuse to drink it standing up, and then I run.
Why does that help?
Because it stops the panic from becoming the identity of the day. I'm late, but I'm not chaotic.
That's a really useful separation.
Being late is a fact. Being frantic is a choice you make afterwards.
I'm going to steal that.
Please steal it. It saved me a lot of terrible Tuesdays.
So what's your advice? Start absurdly small?
Absurdly small. Choose one thing, not 5.
Give me examples.
Don't check your phone until after you've had water. That's 1.
That's very doable.
Or sit down while you drink your first cup of anything. Just sit. Don't walk around.
I like that one because it's not about time, it's about posture.
Exactly. Or open one window and breathe for 30 seconds.
These sound too easy to work.
They sound too easy, and that's why they work. Easy things survive bad weeks.
Okay, I want to ask about the feeling side of this too.
Go ahead.
A lot of people wake up already feeling overwhelmed, before anything happens. Does quiet actually help that? Or does it make you sit with the bad feeling?
That's a very honest question, and I've thought about it.
Because sometimes distraction feels like medicine.
It does. Opening your phone when you feel overwhelmed is like putting a blanket over a mess. The mess is still there.
But you can't see it.
For 10 minutes, and then it's louder.
So quiet is uncomfortable at first.
Very. The first 3 or 4 mornings I sat there thinking, this is stupid. I could be answering emails.
What changed?
Around day 5, I noticed the noise in my head was shorter. It came, it made some complaints, and then it got bored.
Your thoughts got bored.
They ran out of material, and underneath there was something calmer.
That's the part people never reach, because they stop at day 2.
And I understand why. Nothing feels good on day 2.
Let's connect this to English, because a lot of people listening are learning.
Yes, and honestly, this is where a quiet morning is unfair. It's too useful.
Explain.
Your brain in the morning is fresh. It hasn't argued with anyone yet. It hasn't read bad news yet.
So new information sticks better.
Much better. 10 minutes of English at 7 in the morning is worth more than an hour at 11 at night when you're half asleep.
I completely agree, and I've tested this. Evening study for me is just reading with my eyes closed.
Beautiful and useless.
Exactly. So what does a quiet English morning look like?
Very simple. Listen to something short. A podcast, obviously.
Obviously.
And then, and this is the important part, say something out loud.
Even alone?
Especially alone. Describe your morning to yourself in English. Today is Tuesday. It's cold. I need to buy bread.
That sounds silly, but it's real speaking practice.
It's the only kind of practice most learners skip. They listen, they read, they never move their mouth.
And then they wonder why speaking feels hard.
Because they've never done it. Understanding English and producing English are two different skills.
Is there a technique you'd recommend for that first speaking minute?
Repeat after the audio. Copy the rhythm, not only the words.
Shadowing.
Shadowing, yes. Play one sentence, say it back immediately, and try to match the music of it.
That's harder than it sounds.
Much harder. But it trains your mouth, and your mouth is usually the slow part.
How long?
3 minutes is plenty. Shadow for 3 minutes every morning, and in a month you have an hour and a half of real speaking.
And it's an hour and a half you never had to schedule.
That's the trick. You hide the practice inside a routine you already have.
So the quiet morning gives you a safe room to produce.
No one is judging you at 7 a.m. The kitchen doesn't care about your grammar.
The kettle is not a strict examiner.
The kettle has never corrected me once.
And your neighbors are asleep, so nobody hears your pronunciation experiments.
Mine have heard everything, and they've never complained once.
That's either kindness or very thick walls.
I choose to believe it's kindness, but the point stands. Morning is the least embarrassing hour of the day.
Nobody is watching, so nobody is judging.
And confidence usually grows in rooms where nobody is judging.
Okay, let's build one together. A realistic, quiet morning for a B1 learner with a normal, busy life.
Let's do it. 15 minutes total.
Minute 1. You wake up and don't touch the phone.
Minute 2 to 4. Water, tea, coffee, whatever. Sit down with it.
Sitting is important.
Non-negotiable. Minute 5 to 10. Listen to one short English audio. Don't try to understand every word.
That's a good rule. Understand the shape, not every word.
Then minute 11 to 13, talk to yourself in English about your day. Out loud.
And minute 14 and 15?
Write 2 sentences. One thing you'll do today. One word you learned.
That's genuinely a full study session before 8 in the morning.
And it costs 15 minutes, which most people spend scrolling anyway.
That's the uncomfortable truth.
We always have the time. We just gave it away already.
A colleague of mine tried this and told me something interesting.
Go on.
She said the hardest part wasn't waking up. It was resisting the phone for 15 minutes.
That sounds right. The alarm is on the phone, so the phone is already in your hand.
That's the trap. You turn off the alarm and you're already inside the machine.
So she bought a cheap clock?
A tiny one. €4. And she charges her phone in the kitchen now.
Distance is stronger than willpower.
every time. If it's across the room, you'll think twice. If it's on the pillow, you have no chance.
I moved mine to a shelf, and my mornings improved immediately. Not because I'm disciplined, but because I'm lazy.
Laziness working in your favor.
Design your environment so that the lazy choice is the good choice.
Does the same idea work for English?
Completely. Leave the notebook open on the table. Leave the headphones next to the kettle.
So when you arrive in the kitchen, the practice is already waiting for you.
You don't need motivation if the thing is already in your hand.
Okay, last thought from me. There's a difference between a quiet morning and a lonely morning.
Say more.
Some people hear this and imagine sitting alone in silence feeling sad.
But it's not that.
No, for me it feels like the opposite. It's like arriving somewhere early and having a moment before the guests come.
That's a lovely image. You're the host of your own day.
Yes, and if you arrive late to your own day, you spend the whole time apologizing.
Instead of choosing.
Instead of choosing. That's the whole episode, really.
So here's my small challenge for anyone listening. Tomorrow, take 5 minutes.
Just 5.
5. No phone, 1 drink, sitting down. And notice how you speak to people afterwards.
Not how productive you are, how you speak to people.
That's the real test.
Beautiful. Okay, let's take some useful words from today's conversation.
My favorite part. Word to a time.
Our first word is deliberate. Deliberate. Deliberate.
A strong word, and we used it early.
Deliberate means done on purpose, carefully chosen, not by accident.
So a deliberate choice is a choice you actually thought about.
Exactly. Example sentence. She made a deliberate decision to leave her phone in the other room.
And notice, it's the opposite of automatic. Most of our mornings are automatic.
You can also use it about movement. If someone walks in a deliberate way, they move slowly and with purpose.
That's a nice second meaning. Calm, controlled, never rushed.
A deliberate morning is one you designed. Say it with me once more. Deliberate.
Deliberate. Lovely word for this topic.
Our second word is momentum. Momentum. Momentum.
This one is very useful for talking about habits.
Momentum is the force you get when something is already moving and keeps moving more easily.
So in real life, when you finish one small task, the next one feels lighter.
Perfect. Example sentence. After making my bed, I had enough momentum to clean the kitchen too.
And you can lose it as well. If I stop for 3 days, I lose all my momentum.
One more example. The first week was hard, but after 10 days the routine had its own momentum.
And listen to the pronunciation. Momentum. The stress sits in the middle.
Very natural usage. Build momentum, lose momentum, keep your momentum.
3 collocations for free. Say it again. Momentum.
Momentum. Our third word is clutter. Clutter. Clutter.
This is a great one for describing a room.
Clutter means a lot of unnecessary things lying around in a messy way.
Dishes on the table, papers on the chair, shoes everywhere.
Example sentence. I couldn't relax because there was clutter on every surface.
And there's a verb too. To clutter something, or a very common adjective, cluttered.
My desk is cluttered. My mind feels cluttered.
That second one is very natural, and very B2. A cluttered mind.
And here's a useful opposite. To declutter. On Sunday, I decluttered my kitchen and I felt lighter immediately.
Declutter is everywhere online now, so you'll definitely meet it again.
Say it once more. Clutter.
Clutter. Next word, please.
Our fourth word is restore. Restore. Restore.
A calm, gentle word.
To restore something means to bring it back to its earlier, better condition.
Like restoring an old building or restoring your energy.
Example sentence. A quiet morning restores my attention before the day begins.
And there's a noun, restful, and a related idea, rest. But restore is stronger than rest.
Yes, rest is stopping. Restore is repairing.
That's a very clean distinction. Restore.
One more example. A short walk restores my concentration better than a second coffee.
And you'll hear restore your energy, restore your confidence, even restore a friendship.
Restore. Our fifth word is overwhelmed. Overwhelmed. Overwhelmed.
Very common in real conversation and very useful for feelings.
If you feel overwhelmed, you feel there is too much to handle, and you don't know where to start.
It's stronger than busy. Busy is your schedule. Overwhelmed is your head.
Excellent difference. Example sentence. I woke up feeling overwhelmed before the day had even started.
And we usually say feel overwhelmed or be overwhelmed by something.
There's also a positive use, which surprises people. I was overwhelmed by their kindness.
True. It still means too much, but a good kind of too much.
Overwhelmed by work, overwhelmed by messages, overwhelmed by choices.
Say it once more, slowly. Overwhelmed.
Overwhelmed. And our last word today is sustainable. Sustainable. Sustainable.
This one surprised me, because we usually hear it about the environment.
True, but it's very useful for habits too. Sustainable means able to continue for a long time without failing.
So a sustainable routine is one you can actually keep.
Example sentence. 5 quiet minutes is more sustainable than a perfect 1-hour routine.
And the opposite is unsustainable. Waking at 4:30 every day was simply unsustainable for me.
You'll also hear it about work. That schedule isn't sustainable for a whole year.
And in the environmental sense, sustainable energy, sustainable farming. Same core idea, able to continue.
Great, natural example. Say it one more time. Sustainable.
Sustainable, 6 strong words today.
Let's list them quickly. Deliberate, momentum, clutter.
Restore, overwhelmed, sustainable.
Try to use 2 of them tomorrow morning, out loud, while your tea is getting cold.
The tea is always getting cold. That's how you know it's a real morning.
If you want the full word list and the example sentences from today, the link is in the description below, and it's completely free to use.
Take 1 word, not 6. 6 is a nice list, but 1 word is a habit.
That's very on brand for this episode.
It really is. Thank you for spending this quiet time with us today.
We hope tomorrow morning feels a little slower for you, and a little more yours.
Start small, sit down, say 1 sentence in English out loud.
And if tomorrow doesn't work, the morning after tomorrow is also a morning.
There's always another one waiting. That's the nice thing about days.
That's genuinely enough. This is Mia.
And this is Leo.
You've been listening to the English Anchor podcast.
Take care of your mornings, and take care of your English.
Bye for now.